What does it truly mean to have faith when everything around you screams doubt? When logic dictates one path and an unseen voice whispers another? We often speak of faith as a virtue, a guiding light, but rarely do we delve into the raw, challenging, and often terrifying reality of living by it. Imagine a life defined by radical obedience, a journey fraught with peril and uncertainty, undertaken purely on the promise of something unseen, something seemingly impossible. This is not a fable. This is the profound human story of Abraham, a figure whose life stands as an eternal testament to unwavering belief in the face of the unknown. His tale is not merely an ancient narrative. It's a living, breathing blueprint for navigating our own modern wildernesses of doubt, fear, and the relentless quest for meaning. Abraham's journey challenges us to re-examine our understanding of trust, resilience, and the very nature of divine connection. He was a man who left everything familiar behind, not for a guaranteed outcome, but for a whispered promise. He faced famine, treachery, and the crushing weight of biological impossibility, yet he clung to a hope that transcended his immediate reality. If you're ready to uncover the divine revelation of unwavering faith and explore how a man from ancient Mesopotamia can illuminate your own path, type "ready" in the comments below. We all grapple with uncertainty, whether it's the next career step, a health diagnosis, or the grander questions of purpose and existence. The human condition is inextricably linked to the unknown. Abraham's story offers a timeless lens through which to view this universal struggle, providing not simple answers, but a profound framework for how belief can transform the terrifying void of uncertainty into a fertile ground for growth and divine encounter. He wasn't perfect. He stumbled, he questioned, he made mistakes. Yet his core commitment to a higher calling remained unshaken. His journey wasn't about blind adherence, but about a dynamic, evolving relationship with the divine, forged in the crucible of real-world challenges. To truly appreciate the magnitude of Abraham's faith, we must first transport ourselves back in time to a world vastly different from our own, yet surprisingly resonant in its human complexities. Our story begins in ancient Mesopotamia, a land of sprawling city-states, monumental ziggurats, and a spiritual landscape teeming with a pantheon of gods. This was a polytheistic world where each city had its patron deity, and the cosmos was believed to be governed by a multitude of often capricious divine beings. Life was dictated by the rhythms of nature, the whims of rulers, and the ever-present fear of offending one of the many gods. Propitiation, rituals, and offerings were central to daily existence, a constant effort to maintain cosmic balance and secure blessings from the heavens. In this vibrant, often chaotic spiritual tapestry, the concept of a covenant was not entirely new. Ancient Near Eastern treaties between kings and their vassals often took the form of covenants, binding agreements with specific terms, blessings for obedience, and curses for transgression. These were formal, often public declarations, understood by all parties involved. However, the covenant introduced to Abraham would be of an entirely different order, a unilateral promise from the creator of the universe to one man, a promise that would redefine not just his life, but the spiritual destiny of entire nations. It was into this world that a revolutionary, universe-shattering call echoed, piercing through the clamor of countless deities and established traditions. Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. Think about the sheer audacity of this command. Abraham, then known as Abram, was being asked to sever all ties, to abandon the security of his homeland, his family, and his cultural identity for an unspecified destination revealed only by an unseen God. This was not a suggestion. It was a divine imperative, a radical summons to step into the absolute unknown. Culturally, such a departure was unthinkable. Family and clan were the bedrock of society, providing identity, protection, and livelihood. To leave one's father's household was to become an outcast, vulnerable, and without roots. It meant sacrificing the certainty of inherited land, established relationships, and the familiar comfort of ancestral traditions. This was a command that defied every logical and cultural norm of his time, demanding a complete rupture with everything that defined his existence. It was a call to absolute trust, to relinquish control, and to embark on a journey guided purely by faith in a promise. This was a call to absolute trust, to relinquish control, and to embark on a journey guided purely by faith in a promise. In a world without maps, both literally and figuratively, Abraham's decision to follow this unprecedented call was nothing short of revolutionary. Imagine the conversations, the doubts, the societal pressures he must have faced. His neighbors, his extended family, they would have seen him as foolish, perhaps even mad, for abandoning everything known for an unproven, unseen deity. Yet, Abraham, in a profound act of spiritual courage, chose to believe. He packed up his life, his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all his possessions, setting out from Ur of the Chaldees, a bustling city at the heart of Mesopotamia, a hub of commerce and culture. This initial step, from Ur to Haran, marked the first leg of a pilgrimage that would redefine spiritual history. Haran offered a temporary respite, a place where Abraham's father, Terah, eventually settled and died. It was a place of familiar faces, a continuation of sorts, but the divine imperative remained. The full weight of the command, "Go to the land I will show you," truly began to manifest when he departed Haran. This was the point of no return, the moment Abraham truly stepped into the void, guided only by an internal conviction and an external promise. The journey itself would have been arduous, traversing vast, arid landscapes, fraught with dangers from bandits and natural elements. Every step was a testament to his burgeoning faith, a constant reaffirmation of his commitment to the invisible God who had called him. Upon arriving in Canaan, the land promised to him, Abraham found not a welcoming, empty expanse, but a territory already inhabited by various peoples. His arrival was that of a sojourner, a stranger in a land he was told would one day belong to his descendants. This immediate reality presented a stark contrast to the grand promise. There was no immediate kingdom, no vast dominion, only temporary shelters, and the need to negotiate his existence among established communities. It was here, in this promised land, that the first major test of his faith beyond simply leaving his home presented itself. Famine. A severe famine gripped Canaan, forcing Abraham to make a difficult decision. Survival dictated a move, and he journeyed south to Egypt, the granary of the ancient world. This episode, however, reveals Abraham's human fallibility, a reminder that even the greatest figures of faith are not immune to fear and misjudgment. Fearing for his life because of Sarah's striking beauty, he instructed her to say she was his sister, not his wife. This deception led to Sarah being taken into Pharaoh's household, a perilous situation from which only divine intervention could extricate them. God afflicted Pharaoh and his house with plagues, revealing the truth and compelling Pharaoh to return Sarah to Abraham, along with considerable wealth. This incident is crucial because it underscores a vital aspect of Abraham's journey. His faith was not static or perfect from the outset. It was a developing, often messy relationship with God. He made mistakes, he succumbed to fear, and yet God's promise to him remained steadfast. The divine covenant was not contingent on Abraham's flawless execution, but on God's unwavering intention. Despite his lapse, Abraham emerged from Egypt wealthier and, perhaps, with a deeper understanding of God's protective hand, even amidst his own shortcomings. Back in Canaan, The promise of countless descendants, the foundation of the covenant, remained unfulfilled. Sarah was barren, and years passed without a child. This was the ultimate biological impossibility, a stark contradiction to the divine declaration that he would be the father of many nations. How could he become the father of many nations if he couldn't even father one child? This period of waiting, of grappling with a promise that seemed biologically absurd, was perhaps the most profound test of Abraham's patience and belief. He had left everything, endured hardship, and even compromised his integrity, all based on this promise, yet the most fundamental part of it remained elusive. This was not a test of action, but of endurance, of waiting on God's timing, when all human logic screamed impossibility. The internal conflict must have been immense, maintaining unwavering faith in a promise that seemed to mock the very laws of nature year after year. This was not a test of action, but of endurance, of waiting on God's timing when all human logic screamed impossibility. The internal conflict must have been immense, maintaining unwavering faith in a promise that seemed to mock the very laws of nature year after year. As Abraham settled back into Canaan, the journey truly began to unfold, marked by both divine promises and profound perils. The initial steps from Ur, a bustling city, to Haran, a significant trading hub, and then finally into the unknown territories of Canaan, had been a physical manifestation of his obedience. Each mile covered was a declaration of trust, a severing of ties with the familiar for the sake of an unseen future. Yet the challenges were relentless, pushing the boundaries of his nascent faith. The famine in Canaan, which prompted his hasty descent into Egypt, was merely a prelude to the intricate tapestry of trials and triumphs that would define his life. That episode, with Pharaoh, served as a stark reminder of his human frailty, a moment where self-preservation momentarily overshadowed his spiritual conviction. But it also highlighted the resilient nature of God's promise, a covenant impervious to human error. Returning from Egypt, Abraham faced the immediate practicalities of life in a new land. His wealth had increased significantly, leading to disputes between his herdsmen and those of his nephew, Lot. This conflict, born of prosperity, forced another difficult decision: separation. Abraham, demonstrating a generosity and trust that belied his earlier fear, offered Lot the first choice of land. Lot chose the fertile plains of the Jordan, near the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, leaving Abraham with the less appealing Central Highlands. This act of relinquishing the seemingly better portion further solidified Abraham's reliance on divine guidance rather than worldly advantage, a quiet affirmation that his blessings came from a higher source. Despite these immediate concerns, the overarching, persistent challenge remained the unfulfilled promise of an heir. Sarah, his wife, remained barren. The divine pronouncement that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars continued to echo in a household where the pitter-patter of tiny feet was conspicuously absent. This was a biological reality that defied all natural expectation. Abraham was growing older, Sarah even more so, and the hope of natural childbirth seemed to dwindle with each passing year. How could a nation spring from a man and woman who were past their prime, whose bodies had long since ceased the capacity for procreation? This period was a crucible for Abraham's faith. It wasn't about performing grand miracles or overcoming external enemies, but about the quiet, internal struggle of believing in the impossible. He had received the promise, seen God's protective hand, and yet the most crucial element of the covenant remained a distant dream. The human mind, ever logical, would have questioned, doubted, and perhaps even despaired. Yet Abraham had to cling to the word of a God who operated outside the confines of human understanding and biological limits. This waiting on God's timing was not passive. It was an active, arduous exercise in patience, resilience, and unwavering hope against all odds. It demanded a constant reaffirmation of trust in a promise that, by all earthly measures, seemed increasingly improbable. He was forced to confront the gap between divine declaration and mundane reality, to reconcile the miraculous with the ordinary, and to believe that what was impossible for man was entirely possible for God. This long, arduous wait for Isaac was perhaps the most profound lesson in the nature of divine patience and human faith. The relentless passage of time, coupled with Sarah's advancing age, pressed heavily on Abraham. The divine promise of countless descendants, though reiterated, remained agonizingly unfulfilled. It was within this deepening chasm between promise and reality that human ingenuity, often a poor substitute for divine patience, began to assert itself. Sarah, desperate for an heir and steeped in the cultural norms of her era, proposed a solution that, to her, seemed eminently practical. Hagar, her Egyptian servant. In ancient Near Eastern societies, a barren wife could offer her maidservant to her husband as a surrogate, with any children born from this union legally considered the wife's own. It was a common practice, a human attempt to circumvent biological limitations. Abraham, perhaps swayed by Sarah's distress and the seeming impossibility of their situation, agreed. The result was Ishmael, a son born of human planning and earthly convention. For a brief period, Ishmael represented the fulfillment of the promise, a tangible answer to their prayers. Yet this human intervention, born of impatience and doubt, brought with it a cascade of unforeseen consequences. Hagar, now carrying Abraham's child, began to despise Sarah, her mistress. The household, once united in its longing for a child, became a crucible of jealousy, resentment, and fractured relationships. Sarah, once the instigator, now felt deeply wronged and demanded Hagar's expulsion. This episode, a powerful testament to the complexities arising from attempting to force God's hand, left a lasting mark, sowing seeds of conflict that would echo through generations. It underscored the profound lesson that divine promises are best fulfilled in divine timing, not through human shortcuts. Years later, when Abraham was 99 years old, a new, profound revelation solidified the covenant. God appeared to him, establishing the covenant of circumcision as a perpetual sign, a physical mark of the eternal bond between God and Abraham's descendants. This act was not merely ceremonial, it was a public declaration of faith, a commitment to a life set apart, a tangible reminder of the exclusive relationship God had initiated. It was a reaffirmation, a fresh infusion of hope into a promise that had grown stale with waiting. Shortly after, in a moment of sublime grace, 3 mysterious visitors appeared at Abraham's tent near the oaks of Mamre. Abraham, ever the gracious host, welcomed them with lavish hospitality. During their meal, the visitors, revealed to be the Lord himself and 2 angels, reiterated the impossible. Sarah, despite her advanced age and barrenness, would miraculously bear a son within the year. Hidden inside the tent, Sarah overheard this pronouncement and, in a perfectly human reaction, laughed. It was a laugh born of disbelief, a mixture of hope and cynicism wrestling within her aged heart. "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" she thought. But the divine guest, knowing her thoughts, gently rebuked her. "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" This question hung in the air, a challenge to human logic, a beacon of divine omnipotence. This period was not solely about personal promises. The narrative then shifts to a pivotal moment of intercession, revealing Abraham's growing intimacy with God. As the divine visitors departed, they revealed their intention to destroy the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Here, Abraham steps into the role of an advocate, pleading with God for the cities, particularly for the sake of his nephew Lot, who resided there. He daringly negotiated, moving from 50 righteous people down to 10, demonstrating a profound understanding of God's justice tempered with mercy. His bold intercession highlights the constant tension between divine judgment and human understanding, between the inexorable march of justice and the yearning for compassion. Though Sodom and Gomorrah were ultimately destroyed due to their utter depravity, Abraham's intercession saved Lot and his family, a testament to the power of a righteous plea and God's willingness to listen. Through these trials, Abraham's faith was not a static belief, but a dynamic, evolving relationship, constantly tested, refined, and deepened by the interplay of divine promise and human experience. It was a faith that wrestled with delay, grappled with human error, and dared to intercede for others, always pushing the boundaries of what was conceivable. Yet, despite all these trials and triumphs, the ultimate test of Abraham's faith was still to come, an ordeal so profound, so utterly incomprehensible, that it would forever etch his name into the annals of human devotion. Imagine the quiet years flowing gently after Isaac's miraculous birth, the joy of watching his promised son grow, the laughter echoing through their tents. Isaac was not just a child, he was the living embodiment of every promise, every hope, every impossible dream that had sustained Abraham for decades. He was the future, the very core of God's covenant made flesh. Then the voice came again. Not a gentle whisper of promise this time, but a command that shattered all human understanding. Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Pause for a moment and truly grasp the gravity of these words. This wasn't merely a request. It was a demand for the ultimate sacrifice, the surrender of the one thing Abraham cherished above all else, the very foundation of his lineage and legacy. Every fiber of his being must have screamed in protest. Every paternal instinct recoiled in horror. How could the God who promised countless descendants demand the life of the very son through whom that promise was to be fulfilled? It was a paradox that defied logic, a divine instruction that seemed to contradict divine nature itself. And yet, Abraham rose early the next morning. There were no arguments, no pleas for reconsideration, no desperate negotiations like those he had made for Sodom. There was only a quiet, resolute obedience that speaks volumes about the depth of his trust. He saddled his donkey, took 2 of his servants and Isaac, and set out for the place God had indicated. The journey to Moriah was a 3-day trek, each step heavy with unspeakable sorrow, each silent mile a testament to Abraham's anguish and unwavering resolve. What conversations, if any, transpired between father and son during those days? What thoughts churned in Abraham's mind as he walked towards the ultimate test of his allegiance? On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place in the distance. He instructed his servants to wait, taking only Isaac and the necessary implements for the offering. Isaac, with youthful innocence, carried the wood, while Abraham carried the fire and the knife. The poignant question from Isaac cuts through the silence, a knife to Abraham's heart. Father, the fire and wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham's response, steeped in a faith that hoped against hope, was profound. God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. He spoke not just of a physical lamb, but perhaps of a deeper spiritual truth he was grasping in that moment of ultimate surrender. Upon reaching the designated place, Abraham built an altar, arranged the wood, and then, with a heavy heart and trembling hands, bound his beloved son Isaac and laid him on the altar atop the wood. The scene is almost unbearable to imagine. The father, raising the knife, prepared to fulfill the incomprehensible command. It was at this precise, agonizing moment, when Abraham's obedience was absolute, when his willingness to surrender everything was proven beyond doubt, that the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham, "Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." And then, a miraculous provision. Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. God had indeed provided the lamb, just as Abraham had declared. He sacrificed the ram instead of Isaac, a moment of profound redemption and revelation. This event, known as the Akedah, or the binding of Isaac, is not merely a story of a father's obedience. It is a foundational narrative that introduces the concept of substitutionary atonement. It foreshadows a greater sacrifice, a divine provision for all humanity, where an innocent substitute takes the place of the intended victim. It underscores the incredible truth that God's ultimate desire is not sacrifice itself, but a heart fully surrendered in trust and obedience. Abraham's ultimate test was not about the act of sacrifice, but the willingness to trust God, even when his commands defied every natural instinct and logical explanation. It was the pinnacle of faith, demonstrating a complete and utter surrender to the divine will, a trust so deep it transcended life itself. The sacrifice of the ram, instead of Isaac, was more than just a reprieve. It was a profound affirmation of Abraham's relationship with God. In that moment, on Mount Moriah, the covenant was renewed and solidified, not with blood from his son, but with the blood of a substitute provided by God himself. Abraham had passed the ultimate test, demonstrating a faith so complete that it redefined devotion. God's promise to him was reiterated with even greater emphasis. "I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me." This was not merely a reward for obedience, but a divine recognition of a heart fully aligned with the Creator's will. Abraham's life, spanning 175 years, was a journey marked by both human failings and divine triumphs. He was not a perfect man, as evidenced by his deceptions concerning Sarah in Egypt and Gerar, and his impatience in taking Hagar. Yet his imperfections only served to highlight the extraordinary nature of his faith. He was a man who, despite his flaws, consistently returned to trust, repeatedly choosing to believe in a God who called him to the impossible. He lived to see Isaac marry Rebekah and the birth of their twin sons, Jacob and Esau, tangible beginnings of the vast lineage promised to him. His death was peaceful, described as old and full of years. Oh, and he was buried alongside Sarah in the cave of Machpelah, a final resting place in the land promised to his descendants. Abraham's legacy, however, extends far beyond his immediate family. He is known as the father of many nations, revered in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam as a patriarch whose faith laid the groundwork for monotheistic belief. More significantly, he is known as the father of faith itself. His story provides the blueprint for what it means to trust God unconditionally, to step into the unknown with courage, and to hold on to promises that defy all logic. His journey teaches us that faith is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to press on despite it. It is not about understanding every step, but about taking the next one in obedience. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with uncertainties. Financial instability, global conflicts, personal health crises, and the sheer unpredictability of life can often leave us feeling adrift, searching for solid ground. We yearn for control, for clarity, for a map that lays out every twist and turn. Yet, Abraham's story reminds us that true security is not found in comprehensive foresight, but in unwavering trust in a higher power. His narrative invites us to consider our own responses to the unknown. Do we recoil in fear? Or do we lean into faith? When faced with circumstances that seem insurmountable, do we attempt to maneuver our way out? Or do we surrender to a divine plan that often operates beyond our comprehension? Abraham's journey, fraught with peril and punctuated by miraculous intervention, ultimately teaches us that faith is an active, living force. It's not a passive belief, but a dynamic engagement with the divine, a willingness to walk where we cannot see, to hope when all hope seems lost, and to obey even when the command defies all human reason. His life is a powerful testament that genuine faith transforms not just individuals, but entire civilizations, shaping history and inspiring countless generations. What uncertainties are you facing in your own life today? What impossible promises are you holding on to? What can Abraham's journey teach you about the profound and transformative power of unwavering belief? And how might that understanding reshape your own path forward? The choice, as it always was for Abraham, rests with each of us.